My child. Stop scrolling and remain here for this moment, because something has just moved through the unseen realm and reached toward you. What you are about to hear was not meant to pass you by. A digital gift has been sent in your direction, but the true gift is not what appears on a screen. It carries a message, a memory, and a decision your soulmate has been struggling to express. The countdown is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to awaken you. 5 minutes can seem like almost nothing, yet sometimes a few minutes are enough to change the course of 2 lives. Pause here. Do not let this moment disappear before you understand why their heart chose now. Your soulmate did not send this gift casually. They did not select it while distracted, and they did not press the final button without hesitation. Their hand remained still above the screen for longer than anyone would know. They read your name once. Then again. They closed their eyes and remembered a moment when your presence made them feel understood without needing to explain themselves. That memory became the reason they continued. Something within them whispered that silence had lasted long enough. Stay until the end, because what was placed inside this gift is not the greatest revelation. The greatest revelation is why it was sent at this exact moment. For days, your soulmate has felt a growing pressure in their heart. It was not sadness alone, and it was not simply longing. It was the realization that time has been moving forward while an important truth remained unspoken. They tried to distract themselves. They filled their hours with ordinary responsibilities, casual conversations, music, work, and small routines. Yet every quiet moment returned them to you. Your name appeared in their thoughts when they least expected it. A familiar feeling rose whenever their phone lit up. Even in crowded rooms, something inside them felt as though one person was missing. That person was you. But there is something they have not told anyone. Their feelings became impossible to ignore after a small event happened earlier today. It seemed ordinary at first. A song played. A notification appeared. Someone spoke a sentence that reminded them of you. Yet within that simple moment, something shifted. They suddenly saw the difference between the life they were living and the life their hearts secretly wanted. The realization arrived so clearly that they could no longer hide behind uncertainty. They understood that they were not waiting for a perfect time. They were waiting for courage. The digital gift became their first act of courage. Do not skip this part, because the gift was chosen with a hidden meaning. It may appear simple from the outside. Perhaps it looks like a small token, a message card, a song, a digital flower, a voucher, a photo, or something symbolic. But your soulmate selected it because it connects to a private emotion they associate with you. There is a reason they rejected other choices. There is a reason they returned to this one. It reminded them of something you once said, something you once did, or something they imagined sharing with you one day. They wanted the gift to say what their voice could not yet say. They wanted it to whisper, "I remembered." They wanted it to confess, "You still matter." And beneath those words, hidden where only the heart can hear it, they wanted it to ask, "Is there still a place for me in your life?" This is why the expiration feels urgent. It is not simply a technical countdown. Spiritually, it reflects the fear your soulmate has carried for too long, the fear that the opportunity to reach you may not remain open forever. They know that emotions can change when ignored. They know distance can become normal. They know unanswered questions can slowly become permanent endings. Sending this gift was their way of stepping into the narrow space between hesitation and regret. Something huge is waiting for you in this message, because your soulmate has been rehearsing a conversation with you in their mind. They have imagined how you might respond. They have pictured you smiling, remaining silent, asking questions, or protecting your heart. Every possible reaction has passed through their thoughts. Yet one possibility frightens them more than all the others, that you may believe the gift means nothing. It means far more than they are ready to admit. The gift is a doorway. Behind that doorway is a conversation they have delayed. Behind that conversation is a truth that could completely change how you understand their silence. You may have wondered why someone who feels deeply could appear distant. You may have asked why their actions seemed uncertain when the connection felt so strong. You may have questioned whether you imagined the bond, whether you cared more, or whether they simply moved on. But heaven is revealing a deeper layer. Their distance was not always the absence of feeling. Sometimes it was the presence of feeling they did not know how to carry. Your soulmate has been afraid of the intensity of what they feel for you. They were not prepared for the way your energy stayed with them. They were not prepared for the way you noticed things others overlooked. They were not prepared for how quickly you became connected to the parts of them they usually keep hidden. You did not merely enter their thoughts. You reached a guarded place in their heart, and once you reached it, they could no longer pretend they were untouched. That is why their behavior may have felt confusing. One moment they seemed close, and the next they became quiet. One day they appeared ready to open up, and the next they stepped backward. This was not because your value changed. It was because closeness forced them to face truths about themselves. They had to confront old disappointments. They had to question the walls they once believed were wisdom. They had to admit that protecting themselves from pain had also protected them from love. And now the digital gift has become evidence that those walls are beginning to open. Pause here for a moment, because this next revelation is important. Your soulmate almost did not send it. They created the gift, reviewed it, and then nearly deleted everything. Their mind began offering every reason to wait. Maybe this is too much. Maybe they will misunderstand. Maybe they no longer care. Maybe I should send it another day. Fear tried to disguise itself as logic. Pride tried to sound like self-respect. Doubt tried to convince them that silence was safer. But then they remembered something about you. They remembered the way you once made them feel calm. They remembered that even when you were hurting, there was sincerity in the way you cared. They remembered a moment when you could have turned cold, yet some part of you remained gentle. That memory stopped them from deleting the gift. It reminded them that what existed between you was not ordinary. The countdown began the second they sent it, but another countdown had been running much longer. It began the moment they first realized they could lose the chance to tell you the truth. Every day of silence became another second. Every missed opportunity became another minute. Every time they thought of you and did nothing, the pressure grew stronger. Today, that inner countdown reached a turning point. Your soulmate felt something they had not felt before: certainty. Not certainty about every detail of the future. Not certainty that everything would be easy. But certainty that avoiding the truth was becoming more painful than facing it. Certainty that your connection deserved honesty. Certainty that if they remained silent, they might spend a long time wondering what could have happened. Do not skip now, because there is another hidden reason the gift expires so quickly. Your soulmate wanted to know whether you would notice them in the middle of your day. They wondered whether your heart would recognize the urgency beneath the ordinary notification. They hoped that something within you would pause. Not because they wanted to control you, but because they wanted to feel that the invisible thread between you still existed. They have been searching for a sign. Not a dramatic sign from the sky, but a small sign from you. A response. An acknowledgement. A moment of openness. Something that tells them the door is not completely closed. Yet this is where the story becomes deeper. The gift was not sent only to receive your attention. It was sent because your soulmate has finally accepted that love cannot survive forever on unspoken feelings. They know a connection cannot be built from hints alone. They know meaningful bonds need clarity. The gift is the beginning of their movement toward that clarity. They are preparing to tell you why they pulled away. They are preparing to explain the conversation that changed their thinking. They are preparing to admit that someone recently asked them a direct question about you, and their answer surprised even them. Stay until the end, because that question may be the true reason this gift exists. The person asked your soulmate, "If this connection matters so much, why are you still hiding from it?" At first, your soulmate laughed softly, trying to escape the seriousness of the moment. But the question did not disappear. It followed them long after the conversation ended. It stayed with them in the quiet. It appeared again while they looked through old messages, remembered past moments, or imagined the future. Why were they hiding? The honest answer unsettled them. They were hiding because they feared that loving you would require them to become more honest than they had ever been. They would have to admit where they failed. They would have to explain why they hesitated. They would have to release the image of being unaffected. They would have to risk hearing a truth they could not control. But beneath all those fears, one stronger truth remained. They still wanted you. Not as an idea. Not as a distant fantasy. Not as someone they could think about only when they felt lonely. They wanted the chance to know what this connection could become if both hearts stopped hiding behind assumptions. The gift carries that desire. You may feel a strange emotional pull while hearing this, as if part of you already understands. Perhaps you have sensed that something was changing. Perhaps you recently dreamed of them, remembered them unexpectedly, or felt an unusual calm after a long period of uncertainty. In this fictional spiritual story, these moments are not presented as proof or prediction. They are symbols of emotional readiness, the quiet ways the heart prepares before an important conversation begins. Your soulmate has reached a place where they no longer want the connection to remain trapped in imagination. They want movement. They want truth. They want to know whether the bond can survive outside the protected world of silent feelings. But there is another layer they have not yet revealed. The gift includes something personal, something only you may fully understand. It may be a phrase, a number, a color, a date, an image, or a song connected to a shared memory. Your soulmate chose it carefully because they wanted to know whether you would recognize the reference. That reference is their secret way of saying, "I did not forget what mattered to us." They remember more than you think. They remember the tone of your voice when you spoke about your dreams. They remember the way your expression changed when you were trying not to show emotion. They remember something small you believed no one noticed. They remember the moment they first realized your presence felt different from everyone else's. And most of all, they remember the moment they understood they could hurt you by remaining uncertain. That memory has weighed on them. It did not disappear when the conversation ended. It did not fade when time passed. Instead, it became a quiet regret. They wondered whether they had made you feel unimportant. They wondered whether their silence taught you to doubt yourself. They wondered whether you interpreted their fear as rejection. The gift is also an apology, though the word "sorry" may not be visible. It is an apology for every moment they knew what they felt but failed to communicate it. It is an apology for making you carry questions they should have answered. It is an apology for assuming there would always be more time. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate has begun writing a longer message. The digital gift is only the first piece. They opened a blank space and started typing the truth, then stopped after the first few lines. They erased some words, rewrote others, and stared at the screen. Their emotions became too real. They realized that once they sent the full message, the connection would enter a new chapter. There would be no returning to comfortable uncertainty. You would know. You would know that they still think about you. You would know that their silence did not mean emptiness. You would know that the future they once avoided has begun appearing in their imagination. And there is one vision they have not been able to shake. They imagine meeting you again without the old tension. They imagine a conversation where neither of you needs to guess. They imagine looking into your eyes and finally saying what they once swallowed. They imagine laughter returning. They imagine a beginning that does not erase the past but transforms it into wisdom. This vision has become stronger every day. Yet your soulmate also knows that wanting a future is not enough. They must become ready to honor it. That is why they have been changing quietly. They have started recognizing patterns that once controlled them. They have been learning that emotional honesty is not weakness. They have been facing the ways fear shaped their choices. The gift is small, but it was sent by a version of them that is beginning to grow. Do not skip the next revelation, because someone close to your soulmate noticed this change. They asked why your soulmate seemed distracted. They noticed them smiling at their phone, then becoming serious. They saw them return to an old memory. They sensed that a decision was forming. Your soulmate tried to avoid the conversation, but eventually your name was mentioned. The atmosphere changed. For the first time, your soulmate did not deny the depth of their feelings. They did not minimize you. They did not pretend you were just someone from the past. Instead, they said something simple that left the other person silent. They said, "I think I waited too long." Those words carried more emotion than they expected. Saying them aloud made everything real. They suddenly understood that waiting had never protected them. It had only increased the distance between what they felt and what they lived. The person listening asked, "Then what are you going to do?" Your soulmate looked down at the device in their hand. That was the moment the idea of the gift was born. The person encouraged them to send something honest, something that would not overwhelm you but would show intention. Your soulmate searched carefully. They wanted the gesture to feel meaningful without appearing forced. They wanted it to open a conversation, not demand an answer. They wanted you to feel remembered. But the 5-minute expiration was not originally part of their plan. That happened because of an unexpected detail. While preparing the gift, your soulmate discovered an option that made it available for only a brief window. At first, they almost changed it. 5 minutes felt too short. Yet something about the timing spoke to them. It reflected the truth they had been avoiding: meaningful opportunities are not always permanent. Some doors remain open only long enough for courage to enter. They chose the countdown as a symbol. A symbol that says, "I do not want to delay what matters anymore." A symbol that says, "This moment deserves your presence." A symbol that says, "Please see the meaning beneath the urgency." Still, they are not expecting perfection from you. They know you may need time. They know your heart may be cautious. They know one gift cannot erase confusion. What they hope for is not immediate surrender. They hope for a beginning, one honest exchange that allows both of you to stop guessing. Your soulmate is ready to answer a question you may have carried for a long time. Why now? Why after all the silence? They saw something that reminded them of the possibility of losing you completely. It was not a direct threat, and nothing frightening occurred. It was simply a moment that revealed how quickly life continues. They watched someone else choose courage. They heard someone speak about missed opportunities. They realized that people often assume they will have another day to say what matters. Your soulmate suddenly imagined a future in which you had fully moved on. They imagined hearing that your heart had chosen another path. They imagined having to smile and pretend they were happy while knowing they had never told you the truth. The thought struck them with unexpected force. In that moment, they understood that their greatest fear was no longer rejection. Their greatest fear was regret. That realization led them to the gift. But there is one final secret hidden inside this first part of the story. Your soulmate did not send only one thing. The digital gift contains a path to something else. There is another message connected to it, one that becomes visible only after the gift is opened. It may be a note, a link, a recording, or a few carefully chosen words. Those words are the beginning of the confession. They reveal that your soulmate has made a decision involving you. They reveal that a conversation has already taken place. They reveal that someone gave them information about your feelings, and what they heard changed the direction of everything. Stay here, because the most extraordinary part is not that they sent the gift. It is what they were told before they sent it. Someone told your soulmate that you had once waited for them longer than they realized. Someone revealed that your silence was not indifference. Someone explained that behind your strength was a heart that had been trying to protect itself from disappointment. Your soulmate heard this and became completely still. For the first time, they considered that they may have misunderstood you. They began replaying past moments through a new lens. Your distance no longer looked like rejection. Your caution no longer looked like coldness. Your silence no longer looked like the absence of love. It looked like a response to pain. And when your soulmate understood this, something inside them broke open. They realized that while they had been waiting for reassurance, you may have been waiting for honesty. They realized both of you may have been standing on opposite sides of the same door, each believing the other had walked away. The digital gift was sent because your soulmate decided to touch that door one more time. Not with pressure. Not with promises they cannot keep. But with a sign that says, I am still here, and I am finally ready to speak. The countdown is moving. The gift is waiting. Yet the deepest message has not expired, because genuine emotion is not measured by a timer. The 5 minutes represent the moment of choice, but the truth behind it has been growing for far longer. Your soulmate is watching the screen. They are wondering whether you have seen it. They are wondering whether you recognize the hidden reference. They are wondering whether your heart paused when their name appeared. Their next message is already written. Their finger is resting above the final button. But before they send it, they are waiting for one small sign from you, because the message contains a confession so honest that once it reaches you, neither of you will be able to pretend the connection was ordinary again. And the first line of that message begins with the words they have been afraid to say for far too long. The words remained on the screen, glowing softly in the quiet light of your soulmate's device. They read the first sentence again, then another time, wondering whether they should erase everything and disappear back into silence. Their heartbeats seemed louder than the room around them. The message was no longer just text. It had become the bridge between two hearts that had spent too long separated by uncertainty. They knew that once those words reached you, there would be no returning to the comfortable distance they had hidden behind for so long. Stay with this message because what happens next changes everything. The digital gift was never intended to impress you. It was designed to prepare your heart for something much deeper. While the countdown continued, your soulmate sat completely still, remembering every unfinished conversation that never found its ending. They remembered the moments when they wanted to tell you the truth but convinced themselves that tomorrow would be a better day. Tomorrow became another tomorrow, and before they realized it, silence had become a habit neither of you knew how to break. But today felt different. Something inside them refused to allow another missed opportunity. Your soulmate whispered to themselves, "If I wait again, I may lose the chance forever." Those words carried more weight than anyone else could understand. Do not skip this moment, because heaven is revealing why this day feels unlike every other day before it. Throughout the morning, small reminders appeared in unexpected places. A familiar phrase. A meaningful melody. A place connected to an old memory. None of these moments demanded attention on their own, yet together they formed something impossible to ignore. Each reminder gently pointed back toward you, as though every ordinary detail had quietly agreed to repeat your name until your soulmate finally listened. They tried to focus on work. Your memory appeared. They opened another conversation. Your name returned. They looked out of a window. They imagined sharing the view with you. No matter how they redirected their thoughts, the same feeling waited patiently for them. It was not forcing them. It was inviting them. And eventually, they stopped resisting. Your soulmate opened the digital gift one final time before sending it. They looked carefully at every detail. The colors mattered. The words mattered. Even the timing mattered. They wanted everything to communicate one message without saying it directly. I have been thinking about you much more than you realize. That sentence stayed hidden beneath every choice they made. Something huge is waiting for you because your soulmate has not been carrying these emotions alone. Unknown to you, someone close to them has watched this journey unfold for weeks. This person noticed that your soulmate smiled differently whenever your name appeared. They noticed the hesitation whenever conversations about the future began. Finally, they asked a question that your soulmate could no longer avoid. Are you still pretending you don't care? The room became completely quiet. Your soulmate could have laughed. They could have changed the subject. Instead, they slowly answered, I never stopped caring. Those 5 words surprised even them. Speaking them aloud removed every excuse they had been hiding behind. For the first time, another person witnessed the truth they had protected for so long. The friend looked at them with calm understanding and simply replied, then stop letting fear make decisions that your heart doesn't agree with. Those words echoed throughout the rest of the day. They became impossible to forget. Pause here for a moment because another layer of this story is about to unfold. Long before the gift was sent, your soulmate opened an old conversation between the two of you. They scrolled upward without typing a single word. Every message carried a memory. Some were joyful. Others were ordinary. Yet even the smallest exchanges reminded them that genuine connection had once existed between you. They smiled. Then they became emotional. Not because of what was written, but because of everything that was never written. Every unsent confession suddenly felt heavier than every message they had ever typed. Your soulmate realized that silence creates stories that are rarely true. They wondered if you believed they had forgotten you. They wondered if you thought they had stopped caring. They wondered if you had quietly convinced yourself that your importance had faded from their heart. Nothing could have been further from the truth. The truth was much simpler. They cared so deeply that they became afraid of expressing it imperfectly. Stay until the end because the greatest revelation has not arrived yet. As your soulmate prepared to send the gift, something unexpected happened. Their phone vibrated. A completely unrelated notification appeared. For most people it would have meant nothing. But the timing felt strangely significant. It interrupted the exact second they hesitated. Instead of delaying again, they smiled softly and whispered, "Maybe this is my sign." Without allowing themselves another chance to overthink, they pressed send. The gift left their screen. For several seconds they simply stared. No celebration. No relief. Only quiet anticipation. They knew the next few minutes could change everything. Your soulmate did not immediately place the phone down. Instead, they continued watching. Not because they expected an instant response. Because hope had quietly returned. Hope had been absent for a long time. Now it was sitting beside them once again. They imagined you discovering the notification. Would you recognize their intention? Would you understand that this was more than a digital present? Would you feel the emotion hidden beneath every detail? They closed their eyes and whispered something that no one else heard. I hope they know this comes from my heart. Do not skip because another hidden truth is about to be revealed. There is something your soulmate has never admitted to anyone. Whenever they imagined their future, your presence appeared naturally. They never forced those thoughts. They simply arrived. Sometimes they imagined sharing simple conversations after long days. Sometimes they imagined celebrating small victories together. Sometimes they imagined laughing about ordinary things that no one else would understand. These dreams were never dramatic. They were peaceful. And that peace became the clearest sign of how deeply they valued you. Yet they feared saying any of this because they believed they had already waited too long. That belief almost convinced them to remain silent forever. Fortunately, today became different. Someone reminded them that sincere honesty is never wasted. Those words gave them the courage they had been searching for. Something extraordinary is waiting just beyond this moment because another message now exists. It has not been sent yet. It is sitting inside your soulmate's drafts. The digital gift was only the beginning. The second message contains truths they have never spoken aloud. It explains why they disappeared during certain seasons. It explains why they struggled whenever emotions became serious. It explains why your name continued appearing in prayers they never told anyone about. Every sentence carries honesty instead of fear. Every paragraph carries hope instead of hesitation. Yet your soulmate cannot bring themselves to press send until they know whether the first gesture reached your heart. This is where the unseen story becomes even more emotional. While waiting, your soulmate quietly looked upward and whispered a simple prayer. Please let this become the beginning of healing instead of another misunderstanding. No complicated words. No dramatic promises. Just a sincere hope. The room felt peaceful afterward. Not because every answer had arrived. Because they finally stopped hiding. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not immediate reunion. Sometimes it is the courage to become completely honest. That courage had finally awakened. Pause here because what happened next surprised even your soulmate. A memory suddenly returned. It was a conversation the two of you once shared. Perhaps you hardly remembered it. Perhaps you believed it was ordinary. Yet your soulmate remembered every detail. You had spoken about choosing kindness even when life became difficult. At the time, they smiled politely. Today, those words returned with unexpected strength. They realized your kindness had quietly changed them long before they admitted it. Your influence had never disappeared. It simply continued growing beneath the surface. That realization filled them with gratitude. Not because everything had become perfect. Because they finally understood your value. Something huge is waiting because another person is about to enter this story. Before the evening ends, someone unexpected will ask your soulmate whether they ever contacted you again. This conversation will become the turning point neither of you sees coming. The answer your soulmate gives will open a door that has remained closed for far too long. But before that conversation happens, one final decision must be made. The second message waits patiently. The confession waits patiently. The truth waits patiently. Your soulmate looks once more at the screen. Their heart feels lighter than it has in many months. Their fear has not disappeared completely. But hope has finally become stronger than fear. They take one deep breath. Their finger slowly moves toward the next message. This time it is not a digital gift. It is something far more personal. The first sentence appears clearly before their eyes. I need to tell you what I should have said a long time ago. They begin reading it one last time before pressing send. And just as they prepare to deliver the confession that could transform everything between you forever, an unexpected notification suddenly appears across the screen with information neither of you saw coming. The name displayed in that notification changes the entire direction of the story.